we have seen that the organisation has a structure to it. We talked about things like spans of control. We talked about various levels of hierarchy. We talked about centralisation. We talked about all these things. And this particular section is looking at the impact that technology has on your structure. And it basically affects three different things. Downsizing. Downsizing is the idea that you can reduce staff numbers. You don't need as many staff because technology replaces people. It replaces the tasks. So if you were to go back 70 or 80 years and you were to look at the finance department of a medium-sized company, you would have seen lots of people with adding machines, simply adding the day's purchases up, simply adding the day's sales up. Now, of course, now the computer does all of that automatically, so you don't need as many people. You physically don't need as many people. So downsizing is the fact that we can reduce the number of staff we have because computers allow various tasks to be done by the machine rather than by a person. Delayering. Now again, you might have remembered a tall structure, and a tall structure looks something like that. Now imagine, for example, 50, 60, 70 years ago, you have an organisation which is very spread out geographically. So it's spread out over a large area. So you might have bits in the south of a country, north of a country, even overseas. It's going to be very difficult, because remember, 60, 70, 80 years ago, communications weren't that brilliant. It's going to be very difficult for managers to know what's going on. So you'll end up with a small span of control and a lot of layers. So managers perhaps looking after their little region, and then a regional manager who is looking after their little bit, and then another manager, and another manager, and another manager. Each of them only able to look after a small number of people, meaning you need lots of layers. But of course, nowadays, if you use email, if you use video conferencing, one manager can actually look after lots of different departments. You know, to a certain extent, if I'm sitting in an office in London, I can be monitoring a company's activities all around the world in real time, which means I can supervise lots of people. So you go from a tall structure with lots of layers to a flat structure with very few layers, because communications technology allows you to supervise more people at the same time. So technology allows for fewer layers of people. Finally, outsourcing. Outsourcing is basically the idea that someone else carries out a task. So we outsource something, we let somebody else do it for us. Now, one of the things then that, again, communication technology has allowed is for outsourcing to be done much more quickly, much more accurately. So you can get, for example, the idea that we could have, we could perhaps have a website where we say, look, these are the tasks we want done this month. Who is willing to do them for us? And you could, in effect, let suppliers bid, this is how much I would be willing to charge for providing this service. Now, again, you can do that much more quickly than you would have been able to do 70, 80 years ago. So, to be honest with you, outsourcing is now, one of the reasons it's popular is because of communication technology. Another reason it's popular nowadays is simply that you can get more information. You know, again, 50, 60 years ago, if I wanted just to get somebody to clean this office, I would have to provide lots and lots of information to each individual company who was perhaps bidding to provide that service. All I've got to do now is put it up on a website. Here's what we need doing. You let me know if you're interested. So technology has allowed all three of these to change the way that organisations are run. As far as outsourcing is concerned, the idea is, if you remember, when we were looking at structure, we said we have a purchasing department, we have a production department, we have a marketing department. And we had, various links to them. We had product A, B, and C, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, with outsourcing, because of this communication, you can simply say, well, we won't do our own marketing. We'll let somebody else do it for us. Perhaps we won't even do our own purchasing. We'll let a specialist company do it. You even get companies who don't even do their own production. Somebody else can produce it. Literally, all this company does is come up with the ideas, do the sales, and let everybody else do everything. It's called a virtual organisation. They actually don't really exist. All they do is coordinate everybody else, and they don't actually do anything themselves at all. So, again, communication technology has allowed all of this to be done faster, more accurately, and more cheaply.